Matt Sells or David Raya, Brian Burmo or Matej Cunha, and does Bruno Fernandes deserve a spot in the team of the season? Find out today on the Sportologist podcast. Okay, so hey there, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Sportologist podcast with me, Harry Cricket 3. And as you can see by the title, today we are deciding our Premier League team of the season for the 24-25 season. And I'm once again alongside Daniel, who helped us decide which club should sign which player back in January, which I don't think any club actually followed our advice for. But this time we're going to decide which team and which players perform the best to form the team of the season. So the way we're doing this is essentially I have shortlisted a list of players for each position. I'm going to try to sell them to Daniel, and then Daniel is going to select which one he thinks is the best fit. But also, if he believes that he's got any new additions that he himself wants to add, then he will explain why they should be in the team as well. But let's start off with goalkeeper. So Daniel, first of all, this is your position. Do you think any goalkeepers this season in the Premier League have shone out for you as an outstanding contender for team of the season?
To be honest, for me, there is one who has outshone everyone this season. It's Matt Sales for
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, he is on my shortlist actually. So I've only got three guys really for this solution. Two, I think, are very contender-wise. The other one is Mark Flecken, who's just gone to Bayer Leverkusen. He actually made the most saves this season, and I think he was, considering Brentford's style of football, and considering every single home game they seem to play for the first half of the season ended about 6-2, 5-3, whatever. He had to face a lot of shots, and the fact that he made the most number of saves, I'm not surprised by that at all. And also, he wasn't that good the previous season, so I think his improvement is quite impressive, and I think he'll do very well for Bayer Leverkusen. So I threw his name in the shortlist just for the fact that he had to work a lot harder than maybe Alisson, Edison, and all these guys. Liverpool ended up with the most clean sheets in the league with 14, but that's because we had a mix of Alisson and Kelleher, so neither one of those really stood out as a goalkeeper. But the two I've gone for, Matt Sells, as you said, of Nottingham Forest, who joined won the Golden Glove with the other guy, David Raya. And I think David Raya has been outstanding once again. I think, to be fair, in the last 2 seasons, he has been the best keeper in the league, alongside probably Alisson. But Matt Sells this year, you're right, he's had to do a lot of work. But the best way, I think, to debate this is David Raya against Matt Sells. Raya, I think, is a better keeper. But this season, who's had the better performance? Is it Sells or Raya? And I think the best way to look at this is the defence in front of them. Arsenal had the least goals conceded in the entire league. They had the second most clean sheets, but their defense is probably a little bit better. They concede less shots than a Forest do. So does that make Matt Sells your goalkeeper, do you think, ahead of David Raya, who has to face a few more shots, has to do more hard work, and is still carrying out the performance?
David Raya has also had an exceptional season. Not to take anything away from him, but considering that Arsenal defense is, I think, way better than Forest's, like at least on paper, although this season not Forest defense performed extremely well as well. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the last like 10 or so game weeks, I think Matt Sales would have been like 150% the number one option. I still think he is, but it's definitely a lot closer between him and Raya. But in the end, I would still go for Matt Sales because he basically changed the fortunes of the club when he came in. Like last year, they were 17th. They barely survived, and this season he's been like an absolute revelation. So I'd say yeah.
So let's go with Matt Sells in goal, the first Forest player to get the team, who had a very good season. Moving on to right back, this is, I think, very debatable. So I've got three contenders here again. The first one is another Forest option and another Arsenal option. First off, Ola Aina of Forest. It's been very, very impressive as a fullback. He's been very good against the Premier League's best attackers, I think. He performed well against Liverpool, both games. I think Forest defence, you are right, they did go off a little bit at the end of the season. You got to see a little bit more cracks from them. I don't know what his contract situation is, because I thought he could be available on a free, and I'm surprised no one's taken it. So maybe he signed a contract and I've just missed it. The second option is part of the Arsenal defence. That's probably the best defence of the league, which is Jurrien Timber, who's played a lot this season compared to Ben White, compared to all the other fullbacks that they have. They seem to have so many. And the last option I have, and I would personally go for him over both Timber and Aina is Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace, because his output, especially the second half of the season, has been impressive. First of all, out of those three, who screams out to you as a name?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't think that any of them have been. I mean, that there hasn't been like a particularly outstanding right back in the league this year. Out of these three, I'd say that Ola Aina is the one that I've been most impressed by. He's an ex-Chelsea player. Actually, I don't know if you know, he was a
Yeah,
loanee back in the day. Then he went off to Torino, and then now he's at Forest. And I thought that he was exceptional throughout most of the season. Daniel Munoz has also been very, very good, uh, to be honest. And I think that Palace are on for like an amazing season next season, because like if they keep hold of Eberechi in particular. But I think that if Crystal Palace continue in the form that they had like towards the end of the season, they will perform very well next year. And Daniel
yeah.
Munoz was like a pivotal part of their defense.
The one thing I will say about Munoz, and I found this very surprising. Number one, I see he scored a lot, got a lot of assists in the end, so I'm not surprised by that much. He got 4 goals, 5 assists this season, which is actually really good numbers, I think, for a fullback. Um, he's third in the Crystal Palace team for passes. He's second in the entire league for tackles, which shocked me because I thought he was much more attacking than defensive. But I think after Trisagana Gay, I think he has the second most tackles in the entire league, which is really, really impressive. And in the Palace team, he's second in interceptions and he's 15th in the league, which is quite high up as well, compared considering how many defensive players there are for interceptions. I think people high up on that, Gravenberg and other guys. But I found the statistics really, really impressive from Munoz, especially the 4 goals, 5 assists. That's good numbers, really good numbers from a Crystal Palace player.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also looking at some other statistics right now, and actually he's the highest rated right back in the league.
Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
surprised. Yeah, he's been
uh,
incredible.
yeah, alongside Trent, actually, which is interesting. You didn't even mention, despite being a
Yeah,
Liverpool fan.
Trent's not going in my list, unfortunately. Not because I'm salty or anything, nothing like that. I just think he hasn't been as needed going forward, and I think everyone can see that. And the one thing that Schlott did at the start of the season is tell Trent to not go forward at all, and just kept him as a right back. Uh, and slowly, at the end, he was like, "Right, Trent, we need you on the ball a bit more." And it ended up working because we won the league at the end, so it was all good. But who would we go for out of these three, do you think? Or is there anyone else that's screaming out to you as a option?
I would probably go for Olaine.
You go for Alina, okay.
Let's say, yeah, although it's a 50-50 between him and Munoz. I would still say Aina. Because
Okay, we'll go for Alina. They did get the second most clean sheets in the league, so it's fair.
Yeah.
Let's move on to centre back now. So I've got a list of centre backs here, and I want you to choose 2 out of them. So first off, the Liverpool duo, Van Dijk, Kanate, Milenkovic and Murillo from Nottingham Forest, Gabriel from Arsenal. I haven't put Saliba in. I don't think he's been as good. Not team of the season worthy. Dan Burn of Newcastle, who I think has been very impressive, and Dean Hosen of Bournemouth. They're the centre backs have really shone for me. After that, I can't really think of many of the centre backs that have been incredible. I think Maxence Lacroix of Palace has been very good. Clean sheet wise, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, we all got the most. But I don't think a Man City defender deserves to be here at all. So who would you go for as your centre back duo in that list of guys I've just listed? Or is there anyone else that I've forgotten, do you think?
I mean, I'll just tell you straight up. I think Van Dijk and Gabriel have been the best for me. They have been the best like last season. I mean, maybe not last season for Van Dijk. If I remember correctly, he wasn't like the best, but I think this season he's been by far the best centre back in the league, along with Gabriel. Like Milenkovic also did, and Hausen also deserve honorable mentions because they've been extremely good, especially considering that they're both very young, like Hausen in particular.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of potential on their hands, but I think that the veterans in the back are still the correct options. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Gabriel and Van Dijk both are definitely the best shouts. I also do think Milenkovic deserves slightly more credit than he gets, just because he scored a lot of goals. As an aerial presence at the ball, I know Gabriel has. I think Milenkovic has scored 1 or 2 more than him. And yes, that's because Gabriel got injured in the end, so maybe he would have scored a few more. We don't know. But I think yeah, Van Dijk and Gabriel is fair, definitely fair. I think Gabriel has been probably one of the best centre backs in the last few years, and I think Saliba struggled without Gabriel a lot in the end of the season, which we saw. So that's definitely fair. That's a good centre back partnership we got. Left back now. This is a position which has been interesting this season. There hasn't been a standout as such. The list I've got, starting off at Bournemouth, Milos Kerkesh, who looks like he's going to come to Liverpool. Anthony Robinson of Fulham, who I think has the second most assists in the league this year, or one of the highest assist numbers. Lewis Hall of Newcastle. I have gone with a Chelsea player, Cucurella, in case you want to fancy him. Miles Lewis-Skelly of Arsenal, who I think has been a shining light in their defence. And for some reason, everyone seems to like him a lot at left back. I think he's personally had a not great season, but I think the amount of team of the seasons I've seen him in, I have to include him in, is Joshko Guardiola. Because I think he was a huge weak point in the City defence at the start of the season. I think that teams targeted him a lot and got through his side a lot. But people love him so much, I thought maybe you'd want him in the team as well. So that's the names I thought of. Is there anyone I've missed? Or do you think someone in there is a perfect contender for best left back this season?
I mean, to be fair, you named half the league's left back, so I can't really think of anyone else who would make the list. But now, let's preface it by saying that if we were only talking about the second half of the season, I think that Cucurella would probably be my number one pick because he's been our best player in the second half of the season. He's been our top goal scorer in 2025, which is
I did not know that.
Pretty wild, yeah. And he's been exceptional both in the Premier League and in the Conference League. However, I don't think he can make the list purely because he wasn't that great in the first part of the season. Miles Lewis-Skelly has also only really played in the second part of the season, although he's been very good. Joshko Gvardiol, I will agree with you. He's been very good offensively, but he's not been great defensively, which is where City had most of their issues this year. I think the standout for me has been either Anthony Robinson or Milos Kerkesh, and I would go for Anthony Robinson because he's been by far Fulham's best player this season. And I mean, as you mentioned, he's provided a lot of assists. He's also been very good defensively, and I can't say that I can find any faults in his season. He's been perfect.
Yeah, I mean, 10 assists from left back is quite impressive. I don't think any other fullback comes near. I mean, Aid Nouri's got 7, which is quite good, but he plays in like a midfield kind of role. He does weird things, whereas Robertson's very much a typical left back. Defends well as well. I thought both games against Liverpool, he was really good. And Fulham did not lose to Liverpool this year. They got a draw at Anfield and then they beat us at Craven Cottage. So he was very impressive in those games. So the defence looks like Matt Sells, Ola Aina, Van Dijk, Gabriel, and Anthony Robertson. So yeah, all of those players I think are very good choices. Let's move on to the midfield. And the way I'm going to do this is we're going to choose a defensive option, essentially a holding midfield player, then a controlling box-to-box midfield player, and then a pure attacking midfield player. Starting off with the defensive options, we've got Moises Caicedo at Chelsea, Ryan Gravenberch, who's been outstanding, probably one of the best ones in the league, Thomas Partey of Arsenal, Bruno Guimaraes, Ryan Christie of Bournemouth, and Elliot Anderson of Nottingham Forest, who I think has been very underrated all season. I don't think I've missed out anyone there because obviously Rodri was injured this season. Otherwise, he would probably be everyone's starting DM every single season, but he's not here. Who stepped up in Rodri's absence the most, do you think?
Out of the ones you mentioned, I'd say that Gravenberch is probably one of the standout ones. Along with, I mean, I may be biased, but I think that Caicedo and Enzo actually have been exceptional, especially Caicedo in the Conference League. He's been by far our best player, and he's probably been our best player this season in general, but I'm not sure if I can put him team of the season purely because of Chelsea's performance. So I'd say that Gravenberch is probably
okay, that's fair.
My favorite option. Elliot Anderson has also done exceptionally well, don't get me wrong. But as I previously mentioned, Forest did drop off a lot towards the end of the season. And we already have 2 Forest players, so I think putting more would be a bit unfair.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so moving on to the box-to-box role now. A limited list here. We've got Alexis McAllister of Liverpool, who I think has probably been our best midfield player all season, to be honest, consistency-wise. Yuri Tielemans of Villa, whose statistics actually look exceptional. Been one of the best passers, I think, all season. One of my favourite players, Sandro Tonali of Newcastle. Declan Rice of Arsenal, who's been in a lot of people's team of the season. And a player that I still don't rate too highly, but Chelsea players love him, is Enzo Fernandez. And I think that there's a chance you might want to put him in because his attacking output's improved a lot last few weeks. I still wouldn't have him in my team of the season, but people seem to really like him. So where would you go with this list of midfielders?
So I actually agree with you. I think that Enzo has been exceptional, especially towards the back end of this season, but I wouldn't put him in my team of the season either, because there's been just way better options. Alexis McAllister is probably the best one out of the list that you mentioned. Who else did you mention actually? So for Sandro Tonali, I think he did very well, but not well enough to be considered for team of the season. And who are the
Yeah.
two other ones that you mentioned? Because I forgot.
Declan Rice.
Yeah, so Declan Rice, he's been very, very good. Let's not get this wrong. But I think that he's been a bit overrated because of that one game that he had in the Champions League against Real Madrid. I think I think he's been very, very good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's been better than McAllister this
Yeah, I
season.
mean, I think his 2 free kicks were exceptional. Like, really, really world class play. But yeah, you're right. I do think people are looking slightly too much at that. I would have him in my Champions League team this season. I probably would. There's
Oh
a
yeah, for
chance
sure.
I would. The only thing with that is obviously the PSG midfield three have been exceptional. So maybe all three of them get in. But Declan Rice, he's been very good for that. But I agree, Premier League team season, he doesn't really get in for me. So two of the options are Gravenberch and McAllister in the midfield. Let's go with the attacking option now. This is a list of options here. Okay, so starting off with Bruno Fernandes, considering they finished, I think, 15th in the end, having a player from a team that finished 15th seems a bit wild, but he has been outstanding this season. Morgan Gibbs-White of Nottingham Forest, Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa, Dominic Szoboszlai of Liverpool, whose numbers might not be good, but I think his importance in the Liverpool team is quite high. Cole Palmer of Chelsea, Mikhail Damsgaard, whose creative output I think is one of the best in the league, especially considering his two strikers ahead of him scored 19 and 20. I think having that creator is very important. And Eberechi Eze of Crystal Palace, who's kind of only shone in the second half of the season, but he has been very good. I can't tell if I've missed out anyone really crucial there, but as an attacking midfielder from this season, they're the list that have actually played behind the front line and have caused good damage to other teams, I think.
Mhm.
So anyone there who do you think deserves the spot?
Yeah, so if we were recording this in January, I would 100% say Cole Palmer. However, I don't think I'm in my right to say Cole Palmer, considering that he's been uh, subpar, to say the least, since January. Like, he went on a very long goal drought. He also missed his first penalty in his career, so
Yeah.
it's not been a great going for him. On the other hand, mm, I don't think that Szoboszlai could get
No, I don't
anywhere
think so
close to
either.
the team.
No.
To be honest, yeah, I think he's been all right, but not good enough for team of the season. Um, are we gonna choose wingers after?
Yes. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
okay, yeah, fair. Because I would have suggested someone else, but I think you would have him in your wingers. Um, then Morgan Rogers and Tabarachese have been very, very good, but they are. I mean, they've been very good for their standards, but I think team of the season is a bit pushing
Yeah.
it. Bareciese could definitely make the FA Cup team of the season since uh,
Yeah.
he won the trophy, but yeah, Prem not so much. I think that uh, my standout player for this season, despite finishing 15th, is Bruno Fernandes, because if it wasn't for him, they would have probably been relegated. But I'm not even exaggerating. Like, he's been exceptional. Like, he also carried them to the Europa League final. He's got, like, what is it, like top 5 for most goal contributions in the league this season or something along those lines.
Yeah.
He's been great.
I think assist-wise, Bruno Fernandes has 10, so does Mikko Damsgaard, and so does Morgan Rogers, who are the two that I suggested. In terms of goals, the most outstanding attacking midfielder is definitely Cole Palmer with 15, but that's also because he takes penalties and things like that. After Cole Palmer, the ones that really kind of scream out are all wingers rather than attacking players. But James Maddison, surprisingly high up with 9, considering he hasn't played that much. Iliman Ndiaye kind of plays behind the striker. He's up with 9 as well. Bruno Fernandes only scored 8, to be fair. And I'm not sure how many of those are penalties. So goals-wise, I don't think it's been that great from him. Like 8 goals it's okay for an attacking midfielder, but if he took, I'm just guessing, if he took 2 or 3 penalties, that's not many non-penalty goals he scored this season. Eze scored 8 as well. Morgan Rogers 8 as well. So they're the numbers you're kind of looking at. So Rogers and Bruno Fernandes, I think, are on the same goal moments from what I see. Obviously, Villa finished a lot higher up than United did. Will that impact your decision anymore, do you think?
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I mean, Morgan Rogers has been very, very good. He's also played on the wings though, as well.
That's a
So
good point, yeah.
I wouldn't even really say that he's like an attacking midfielder.
Okay, we can go with Bruno, that's fine. Okay, so now finally we're into the attacking regions. Is there anyone there on the right hand side who you think should be the team of the season?
I mean, there isn't even really a point to ask this question, I can't lie. There is one guy who stands above the rest, and it's quite obviously Brian Mbeumo. So yeah, I would put him in my team of the season. I'm
Yeah.
obviously joking. It's obviously Mohamed Salah. I mean, he broke all kinds of records this season. Like, this is probably one of the best seasons a Premier League player has ever had. So I don't think there is a debate.
Yep.
Although Mbeumo has also been exceptionally good, but nowhere close to Salah.
Yeah. But after Salah, do you think Jacob Murphy or Bukayo Saka had a better season throughout the whole season? That's the second best right winger in the league.
I mean, I wouldn't say that Saka has been that. I mean, no, Saka has been very good. However, he did miss quite a large part of the
That's the
season
thing,
because through injury.
Whereas
So
Murphy
I
was
think
very good. He was their starting right winger from pretty much game 1 all the way until now.
yeah, and he's actually second for most assists in the league.
Yeah, which I was surprised
So
by as well.
yeah, I'd say that he's second, but I mean, Salah is levels above everyone else. Like, it's not even a debate here.
Striker wise, we have got Alexander Isak, Erling Haaland, Chris Wood, Mateta, Johan Visser, and someone who has been quite underrated this season, Jorgen Strand Larsen of Wolves, who I think scored 14 goals, which is quite impressive for his first season, especially for a team like Wolves who were around relegation the whole season. So, who do you think from that list screams out? Isak is the top scorer out of that list, but Chris Wood had a lot of important moments. He got a lot of points for Forest. Haaland, I think, very high amount as well. In terms of non-penalty takers, I think Chris Wood is probably the highest because I don't think he takes penalties, whereas Isak does, Haaland does, Mateta I think does as well. Who would you go for as a striker?
So at striker, I would definitely go for Isak because he's been the league's top scorer and he's been instrumental in Newcastle's success this season. However, I think that you forgot to mention someone else from Wolves, and I think that's Mateus Cunha. And I think that he is
I had
one
him
of the
down as
standard.
a third attacker rather than a striker as such.
Fair. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, he has played striker for
He's played all
a
over
long
the place.
period of
They
the
just
season.
get passing the ball to him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that he deserves to be in the team of the season. He's been very good. Apart from Isak at striker, though, I think Juan Wisa deserves a mention because you did mention him, obviously,
Yeah.
but he's been very underrated. Like, I've not seen him in anyone's team of the season, and he's been just as important for Brentford as Mbeumo.
I mean, he scored 19 goals this season. Considering
Yeah.
Ivan Toney left, both Mbeumo and Visser getting 20 and 19, I think it's exceptional. Really, really
Yeah.
impressive numbers.
And I actually don't know if you know this, but Brentford did sign another striker at the start of the season.
Yeah, and he got injured, I
But
think.
yeah, he got injured immediately. But the interesting part about him is that he's got a Bulgarian passport and that he actually played in Bulgaria for a while before coming to
Yeah.
Brentford. So I don't know a lot about him. And hopefully next season he recovers from injury.
Okay, so we've done 10 players now. So the last attacking option now. Obviously, left wing isn't really a obvious position this year because I don't think there's been a standout left winger that like there has in previous years. But I've got a list of left wingers plus some other attackers that I think could deserve a spot here. So we've obviously got Cody Gakpo, who's been very impressive for Liverpool. Luis Diaz, numbers have been good. Antoine Semenyo for Bournemouth. And then after that, they're the only left wingers I think have shone really. After that, we've got the two attackers who I think deserve a spot in the team of the season, who is Brian Mbeumo, obviously 20 goals, and like you said, Matej Cunha, who's got 15 goals from Wolves side. Out of those 4 or 5 names, who do you think is the best option as the last player for the team of the season? We've got Salah and Isak. Who would you have next to them? Gakpo, Diaz, Mbeumo, Semenyo, or Cunha?
Yeah, so as you mentioned previously, I don't think that any left winger actually deserves a mention here because there hasn't been anyone really stand out. Semenyo has been all right, but not enough for team of the season contender, I don't think. I think that Mbeumo, like as I mentioned previously, he's been exceptional this season, and I'd say that he's actually the only player this season who got 2 perfect ratings. So he got perfect rating on 2 separate occasions, which is very impressive.
Has that ever happened this season?
Uh, I'm not sure actually. Uh, I read it on SofaScore, but it is a huge accomplishment. So I think that he definitely deserves to be there.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that is our final team of the season. We've got Matt Sells in goal from Nottingham Forest, Ola Aina, Virgil van Dijk, Gabriel, and Anthony Robinson, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Bruno Fernandes. And then a front three of Mohamed Salah, Alexander Isak, and Brian Mbeumo. So team-wise, I think that gives us 4 Liverpool players, 1 Newcastle, 1 Fulham, 1 Brentford, 1 Arsenal, and 2 Forest, as well as the Man United outlier in Bruno Fernandes. Do you want to change any of those positions? Do you think maybe Bruno doesn't deserve the right to be in over someone else who's been higher up? Or maybe a defender? Do you think we need more Arsenal players? Do you think Olaina, maybe Timber ahead of him, or David Raya gets into the team? Just maybe not enough Arsenal players?
To be fair, you are correct. Like, seeing the spread of players, it's actually a bit weird because Man City and Chelsea do not have a single player. And to be
But I
fair,
think
I don't
even
think
their fans would don't really disagree with us here. I think they're in terms of Man City, their standout players this season. Man City fans seem to like what Kovacic has done a lot. I think the fact that he's just covered over Rodri's cracks a lot has just worked so hard. He's been a really good player for them. As after that, it's been really minimal. Probably Marmoush has been the most exciting guy they go to watch. Chelsea-wise, there's been an array of good performers, but no one, I think, outstanding to the level where you have to have them in the team of the season. Cucurella is probably the best shout, so Cole Palmer, Caicedo, they're the only real guys. But I think the other players have just been slightly better, so I think you are right about that. But do you think we should have another Arsenal player in there somewhere?
I mean, who would you suggest? Because I can't really think of anyone.
Really,
They
I think the only
haven't.
options is David Raya or Julian Timber, really. I think one of the Forest players could get replaced by an Arsenal player on the basis of the better team and the better defender. So if Sells gets in, that's because the defense wasn't as good as the Arsenal defense. So you go for Timber, who is part of the Arsenal defense, or the other way around. If you think Olaina's been the best player out of these 4, then you probably have David Raya, who's been just outstanding. I do think David Raya is probably the most all-rounded keeper who's performed the best this league. But what would you say? Sells and Aina, or Raya and Aina, Raya and Timber? How are you going with this?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think Sales and
Because
Timber
we do have Gabriel. We do have
would
Gabriel from the
probably.
Arsenal defense,
Yeah,
but
I mean, the Arsenal defense is the one which did they concede the least amount of goals?
they
Yeah,
conceded the
did.
least goals, second most
Yeah.
clean sheets, and they always look really hard to attack against. I'm surprised. I always see teams struggle to score against them. I think Liverpool scored, 2 in both the games. I'm trying to think of any team that's really tore them up. I think Newcastle in the Carabao Cup at St James's Park, that's the one where I think they conceded 4 maybe. But apart from that, teams very rarely score against Arsenal. It is hard to break them down. It is a challenge. Whereas Forest, I think, a little bit more breakable than Arsenal are. Okay, so any changes that you make?
I mean, yeah. To be fair, I think Timber instead of Aina might be a good change. I did mention previously that they were very close, but now that we've built the whole team, I think that Arsenal deserve at least 2 players in the starting 11.
Okay, so that looks. I think that
So
looks
yeah,
fair. So that is our final team of the season. So we just changed Ola Aina to Juri Timber to give us a better spread of Arsenal players. So that is the end of the 24-25 season. We'll be back again very soon to do a talk about transfers and which one player that each club should sign because it is the summer window. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Follow the podcast if you haven't already. Check out Harry Cricket through on YouTube for some more football and cricket content. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll catch you later.